And now it is my great pleasure to bring to the stage my friend Shawn Thomas. Give him a warm welcome.
Well, thank you for living by your sign. All are welcome here. I felt very welcome, and so thank you so much for that. And I'm also honored. I just want to say to get to do this with Reverend Yolanda. You know, when Reverend Roger stands up here, I believe that Reverend Yolanda is just as much an image of God as Reverend Roger is, or any of us are. And that's why I just think this is so beautiful, and I think it's a wonderful thing to bring this ministry the way that you are doing it. And we've been trying that already. So real quick, a little bit short version about myself. One of the things I've enjoyed too this weekend is getting to know Roger and Yolanda better, and we've been sharing some about our faith and things. I grew up in church. My dad is a retired pastor, and the church denomination we grew up in is the Disciples of Christ, which I think in the Northeast there's more United Church of Christ around here, but it's very similar. And so, you know, it's very just traditional church services, hymns, and those kinds of things. But later, one of the things I admired about my father was that he has always been a grace-filled pastor. He never condemned anyone from the pulpit. I didn't grow up hearing anything like that. And when we were children, we would visit as a family, when we went on vacations, my sister and I and my family, we would visit other churches. Dad would make a point to take us to other congregations and see how they did it. And there wasn't a right or a wrong in that. It was like, oh, isn't this interesting, what they're doing that's different than us and how we do things. And so I'm grateful for that foundation, because later in life when I was exposed to unity principles or new thought principles or those kinds of things, I didn't find a conflict, and I'm grateful for that. And so I've incorporated those kinds of things into traditional Christian belief, which I didn't, even having to go through transition of coming out, I didn't find my Christianity in odds with that as well. So I say all that to say that the human language is a little bit limited when we try to describe God, or when we talk about our spirituality. So if you hear words come out of my mouth that seem way too traditional for you, please just don't use that word in your mind. Put another one in there and let it work for you, if that's okay. And know we're all coming from the same place. Does that work? All right, there we go. So Psalm 121 says, I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. And for me, this is an affirmation that says, you know, sometimes there's going to be that stuff where you think, this is it. I cannot make it any further. I can't go past this conflict. This challenge is going to be the one that's too much for me. But when I lift my eyes up to the hills, when I find that, when I go in, that we talked about this morning, and I find God, and I turn that back over, and I let go of the control I'm trying to have in that, then somehow when I look back on the conflict later, I go, wow, I made it to the other side of that. Now I'm over that. And so this song is called The Other Side, and it says, you see that mountain over there? I made it over that mountain. You see that river? I made it across that river. I made it through that valley, and I'm on the other side now. Because not even the power of the sun or the moon can harm me. When I lift up my eyes to the hills, my help comes from the Lord.
Hallelujah.
You see that door, you try to shut me out. You feel that wind, you try to pull me down. You hear that sound, but that's the sound I make. Crashing into the risk I take. I know the climb may be steep and vast. I'm sure the fall will be hard and fast. But in the end, I hope I make it through. If I don't, at least I try to. While it's a long road, it'll turn in wide. The shadow, yeah. The brighter I will shine. See the mountain, see the hill I climbed it. See the river, see the stream I crossed it. See the valley in my way, I made it. I'm on the other side now. In the ocean, in the storm, I brave it. In the darkness, in the night, I find it. In the wilderness alone, I shout it. I'm on the other side now. See that man, he tried to do me wrong. You hear that lie, well it's the same old song. You know they say you better not condemn. So I bless that man and I pray for him. I'm never sure of the path I take. No future plans do I often make. But here I am, doing my own thing. It's my heart's song and that's why I sing. And it's a long road, it'll turn and wind, forever shadow, but brighter I will shine. See the mountain, see the hill, I climbed it. See the river, see the stream, I crossed it. See the valley in my way, I made it. I'm on the other side now. In the ocean, in the storm, I brave it. In the darkness, in the night, I find it. In the wilderness alone, I shout it. I'm on the other side now. When I look to the hills that surround me, I know from where my help comes. Not even the sun or the moon in the night will conquer the days of my life. See the hill, I climbed it. See the river, see the stream, I crossed it. See the valley in my way, I made it. I'm on the other side now. In the ocean, in the storm, I brave it. In the darkness, in the night, I find it. In the wilderness alone, I shout it. I'm on the other side now. I'm on the other side now. I'm on the other side now. You see that door, they tried to shut me out.